Michael, do you believe it's impossible to look at a culture and say objectively, like, that's a bad cultural practice? Like,
I wouldn't say objectively, no, because you exist within the context of like a broader
throwing gay
society.
people off of rooftops, is that culturally, is that a good culture that encourages
good culture?
that?
No, that's a terrible culture, right? But I only say that because I'm through this.
But you can't say that objectively, dude. Unfortunately, she got you so good.
She got him good.
I love how I, as a moderator, do like to get involved in the debate a little bit myself. So I have mad props for Carrie here.
That's a good question. That's a great question.
She's just, so good.
The cultural context I exist in is one of a liberal order, right? If you change that on a fundamental level, you're going to change the people within it.
Well, what about all the people?
Wait.
I know. Talk about punting. God, he punted hard there.
Listen to that bullshit fucking answer.
Gay people off of rooftops, is that culturally, is that a good culture that encourages that?
No, that's a terrible culture, right? But I only say that because I'm through this. The cultural context I exist in is one of a liberal order, right? If you change that on a fundamental level, you're going to change the people within it.
Islam apologist right here.
Right.
Gay people off rooftops apologist.
What he's saying is true, but it's like, so the fuck what? Who cares? It's like, yeah, you only think that's bad because you were taught to think that's bad because you live in a liberal society. It's like, okay.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I know. It's like, exactly. Thank God. What's your fucking point there, buddy? Like, what a vapid and empty statement. When I hear this so often.
From here, we're so close. We're so close because you can say, okay, well, if it's good to teach people that we probably shouldn't throw gay people off of fucking rooftops, then maybe there's other things that it's good to teach people. What do you think? Come on, we're getting closer. Are we getting warmer here?
Maybe cultural relativism is a dumb fuck idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we should teach people that Taco Tuesday's not fucking racist, okay? Everyone loves tacos. What do you... Don't be a maniac.
What about all the people in
cultures where they do that? We live in a culture where the death penalty is practiced today.
What about people who grew up in a cultural context of communism? It's zero.
Motherfucker just compared the death penalty.
Yeah, I know.
To throwing gay people off rooftops.
Yeah. Not only is it whataboutism.
I was going to say your favorite.
But I don't think, if you like the guy who ran through the Christmas parade, fucking give that guy the electric chair, fucking kill him once, kill him twice, kill him 3 times. I mean, we
give him
saw
the electric chair
did.
And don't wet the sponge. Okay?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like the only problem I have with the death penalty is like when we're doing it off of, eyewitness testimony. Yeah, exactly.
Terrible evidence, right.
Yeah. There's some people that deserve death. Fucking
yes.
Obviously.
0% of them like
objective moral wrong.
The dominant culture is communism, and every fucking one of them hates it. Why? Because it's a catastrophe.
Culture is communism?
In the Soviet Union, it was, and you can't find a former Soviet.
How did we get on this conversation of objective morality? She asked a very pertinent question. So they're talking about whether we should follow. But this is the dishonest kind of leftist, nonsense talking point. So they're talking about whether people should subscribe to specific cultures based on their success.
Right.
And then they're kind of punting, saying, well, we should kind of deconstruct majority cultures because they're majority cultures. And then she says, but what about cultures where you throw people off roofs and you kill them because they're gay? And then they're like, well, it's bad. But, cultural relativism.
We're bad too, yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that's stupid. You can't live in a society where everyone has their own relativistic culture and you can't judge it.
He did try to say that we're just as bad as the rooftoppers by saying we have the death penalty. It's like,
but it's also that's a bullshit argument too, because that's like it's like saying, oh, we shouldn't change or we shouldn't progress or we shouldn't like what we like because we could always be better. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, so what? You can always be better. You can't let perfection be the enemy of the possible, right? And that's what they do. They say, oh, well, if your and it makes sense too, because they all engage in this utopiastic thinking. They think that there's this magical communist utopia that somehow exists somewhere. We just haven't gotten to it yet. And so I guess if you're operating under that framework where there's a utopia, then that's why they can compare the death penalty to throwing gays off the roof. Because they're like, well, we don't live in a utopia right now. So therefore it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who thinks communism is a good idea? There were Polish people here. Talk to them. See how they feel about communism.
I do want to
communist culture.
I want to agree with me that
I want to address something that Mike brought up.
Wait,
Mike,
I'm
I
gonna
want to
let
address something.
Sean go, and then I'll let Michael.
Yeah, I want to
respond.
address something.
Carrie always reads my mind. She's like, okay, we gotta get some order going here, guys.
Do you believe in objective morality? Oh, fuck off. Really gonna have this conversation?
Carrie's like, I'm gonna step in here. We're gonna make Sean over here the dominant speaker for a while.
There you go.
Take that.
Yeah, Mike brought up. Mike said that I shouldn't be advocating for less successful cultures to assimilate and to please the dominant culture. That's not what I'm advocating for. A lot of the negative aspects of Black American culture date back to Scottish culture, which is where a lot of the Southern whites came from. The Scottish.
See all of this. Sean talks about this a lot, and I love it because it's from the book Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell, which that book is amazing. More people
Thomas
should read
Sowell.
it. Yeah. It's so, oh God, it's such a black pill.
I know.
That
and a white pill.
Gangster culture is not even black. It's based on the Scottish. It's based on the Scottish.
Isn't that funny? It's so funny.
It is hilarious.
Yep.
The whole point of the Reformation, where they became literate, they started working hard, and they got rid of some of their negative practices, was to benefit the Scottish. Like, what I'm saying is if your goal is to benefit the culture that's not doing well, then encouraging them, excusing them, placating them is not going to improve their situation. The Scottish got better, and they were some of the leading intellectuals in the Enlightenment because they started to emulate successful aspects of English culture.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Do you
What
have a
we're dealing with in
response to
critical
that?
race theory is a racial conspiracy theory.
I don't even disagree with anything Sean's saying. I think it's good things to emulate and to take things from other cultures that are good aspects of those cultures and abandon things that are bad from others.
But you can't with cultural appropriation unless you say cultural appropriation is not a thing. Unless you fight against that, you can't do that.
Well, right. And also, it sounded like he was arguing against this because he was framing everything as if the majority culture is inherently oppressive.
Yeah.
So
other
now,
cultures. I don't disagree with any of this at all. All I argued was that you need to deconstruct why some aspects of some cultures are bad.
Do you believe that some things work and some things don't work?
Incredible analysis.
My car.
No, I mean, what's the definition of good? I don't mean to be screwy with you. I mean,
What's
what
the
is the
definition
definition
of
of better? Not even good, not good. What's the definition of better versus worse? It must have some goal orientation set against it. Something that achieves the goal more successfully is good. A hammer that breaks at the handle when you swing it, not even a living thing, not a very good hammer. A hammer that can drive in nails and not break, a good hammer. It behaves better. Why? Because it's better at achieving the goal. So if you do,
and wouldn't it be better if we had a
the pragmatic argument means something here?
Would it be a better society if all the racial groups were equal?
They are equal under the
how?
law.
They are. What are you talking about?
Can you define what you mean by equal?
So, equity, I know that's a scary word. I know that's a really scary word. Equity is equality with an assumption. And
Equity is
and that assumption
adjusting
is-
shares so that citizens are made equal.
I'm going to
I
let
am
Jangles
terrified.
talk about what he means by equality, and then I'd love to let you.
even Sean's like, James,
I know.
let him finish. Let him finish this.
Let him hang himself.
Yeah, let Jangles hang himself. That's right.
We've done that.
Respond
We've
to it.
talked to leftists a bunch of times, and
Right.
sometimes you just want to let them talk. Just let them
Right.
continue to talk. Let them go. Let them go.
So equity is equality with an assumption. That assumption being the very Marxist idea that all men are created equal. Again, so how do you measure whether or not we have equality of opportunity? So why is equity not a measure that we could use to get there? If we had equality of opportunity, if everyone had the same shot of getting where they wanted to be, why would we see these giant disparities? Unless equity could be a measure to see whether or not we actually have equality of opportunity. I don't think you would disagree with the notion that if you are born into a single-parent household in the inner city that is surrounded by crime, surrounded with shitty schools, you're not going to have the same access to any of the things that you're going to use to live a good life. And so you're not going to have the same access as someone who was born to like 2 kids with in a nice, safe suburb. All right, I don't think we can say that those 2 people have like the equality of opportunity. And one way we can measure that.
Clearly, no one disagrees with this.
Well, I kind of do. I mean,
you think that someone born in those different circumstances are going to have the same?
Well, I always kind of want to have a rap career, but you know, you can't be rap unless you're unless you got street cred, right?
Okay.
So I mean, I wasn't really. I didn't have that opportunity.
Poor Well, no,
Adam. I'm saying, you know,
So
I didn't have that
learned,
opportunity.
folks, Adam, his entire life.
Well, don't you
wanted? He didn't really want to be a
I'm
streamer.
telling you.
He wanted to be a YouTuber. He wanted to be a successful rapper, and he just could never.
I didn't have the opportunity. I was born in the wrong socioeconomic enclave.
That's right. He was born too well off. He wasn't born on the streets. He couldn't get the street cred required to be a rapper. Poor Adam.
I'm saying, you understand there are opportunities in some areas and other opportunities in other areas. I didn't have all the opportunities that, you know, Eminem had. So
that's right. Listen, as J-Mac says, sometimes you get a shitty hand and you got to play it the best you can, Adam. I know. The fact that you didn't have a shitty enough life to be a rapper.
Well, I'm not a superstar. I mean, geez.
There you go. I'm so sorry.
Could have happened for me.
Sorry.
I don't know why you're disparaging me like this. I feel the dominant culture is the problem here.
I think you're just making excuses. I'm sure if I knew anything about rappers, I'm sure there's tons of well-off and middle-class rappers who grew up and not, you know.
I wanted to go to South Central, but I couldn't get in.
Okay.
My grades were too high.